Hello and welcome to the Bullish Money YouTube channel. As many of you know, one of my favorite things to do besides analyzing the markets is firing firearms. I love the Second Amendment. I love this country, and I love the fact that this country allows me the freedom and the privilege to be able to buy firearms. It's one of the things that makes the United States so unique compared to almost every other country in the world, which is why I will put up with a lot of bullcrap in the United States, because I do love the freedoms that we have. Of course, we must protect our freedoms because they are constantly under attack by progressives and liberals with a globalist agenda. Now, as many of you know, in California, we've had to deal with a lot of BS laws that do absolutely nothing for us. And but I just wanted to give you a personal experience of what these laws entail. This is not legal advice. I'm not an attorney, so you will have to do your own research. If you have legal questions, specific legal questions, please consult an attorney that knows a lot about California firearms laws. This again is just a video about my personal experiences with the California compliance laws, and maybe if people who are coming from out of state are thinking about moving into California, this is some of the things that you might expect. Now, from what I understand of these crazy laws, and there's just so much variance and ambiguity. It's really difficult to get a hold of it all. But there's three main components that have affected me in terms of compliance. Number one is if your rifle had a flash hider, obviously you have to take it off. Now, these laws are compliance laws are going into effect, I believe, at the end of June of this year, 2018, but I'm just going to play it safe. So flash hider, if you have a flash hider, you got to remove it. You can add, though, a muzzle brake, which, I don't know, just kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Apparently, I guess because muzzle brakes are louder, therefore it's easier for cops to detect a crime that's occurring, whatever. Anyways, so got to take out the flash hider. You can optionally put on a muzzle brake if you like. Also, the stock has to be fixed in place. So, if I was living in a free state, I'd be able to adjust the stock. This one, it's got to be, locked into place. I think this already is natively a fixed stock, but for the Magpul adjustable stocks, for example, you no longer have the ability to do so. If you do have one of those adjustable stocks, you got to nail it in place, keep it fixed in place permanently, so that it does not move, it does not adjust. And then finally, the big one is what people refer to colloquially as the shark fin. This is basically a thumb protector. You can't put your thumb through the guard, and therefore you can't grip the pistol grip, and so you have to hold it like this instead of really gripping it around the pistol grip as it was designed to do. That is the biggest impediment. The fixed stock is kind of a pain because I like to have a longer pull, and the stores nowadays they put it to the smallest setting and then they lock it in place, so it kind of stinks in that regard. The muzzle brake or flash hider issue, it's not a big deal. Muzzle brakes are cooler, so that's not for me personally. That's not a big deal. What is a big deal? The pistol grip situation. Gripping it, it's not as bad as you might think, but it's tough. It's tough to hold it. I mean, if you have a pretty heavy rifle, and this is pretty heavy, based on the AK platform, yeah, it gets really tiresome. You can't, it's really hard to to aim this thing and keep it on target without, you know, supporting it with your other hand. So that's been an impediment. Sure, when you've got both hands on the rifle and then you're, you know, blasting away, you don't really notice it. You start to notice it though when you need to reload, especially if you have, let's say you had like an MP5 clone or something like that, and the charging handle's on the left side and you're right-handed. It's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be tough to do all that while being able to keep your rifle on target. You kind of have to, well, you know, if you have a lot of strength, you do that, but you're gonna waste a lot of energy holding it in a very unnatural platform. So you will have to probably, a lot of you guys will probably have to raise the rifle onto the top of your shoulder and then do your reloading mechanism and then get back into the fight. And that, I have to say, it's a pain. And this thing, yeah, it prevents crime. I mean, let me back up. It prevents the criminal from being able to engage victims quickly. It really does, okay? But that's assuming, and this is the big assumption, that's assuming that the criminal is going to abide by this law. So I don't know, it seems to me if I was a criminal, you know, I'd take some tools, I'd undo this Kydex grip, I'd take it off, and then I'd start committing crimes, right? So it prevents law-abiding citizens from being able to victimize others quickly. But if you're a law-abiding citizen, you're going to abide by the law, which means you're not going to go on these mass shootings. So this Kydex grip, this thumb protector, shark fin, it really just victimizes law-abiding California residents who are merely using these rifles, these semi-automatic rifles, for sporting and personal reasons that are in full compliance with the Second Amendment. So I find among the three, this is a pain. It's workable. It's a workable pain, and I certainly don't want to. There's another option where you could like melt up this pistol grip and convert it into a regular traditional grip or stock. It just kind of makes your semi-auto rifle look like an abortion. Sorry to use that descriptor, but it really looks terrible when you do it that way, and I prefer not to do it that way. So I deal with this, but I just want to let you guys know, yeah, it's going to be 50-50. I mean, sometimes in some circumstances you're not going to notice it when you're firing away. You're not really going to notice it, but for running and gunning and doing the reloading mechanism, it is a real pain. And you're going to get winded very quickly, especially if you're doing those running and gunning competitions. You're going to get winded unnecessarily. Whereas if you're doing competitions in free states, you don't have that problem. You don't even think about it. So yeah, it really stinks. But again, I think at this stage of the game, compliance is, I highly recommend compliance. I do not recommend registering your semi-auto rifles as assault weapons, because then technically it's not really your property, it's the state government's property, and they could come in and inspect and do all sorts of things. They have an easement on your rifle. So I don't want to go that route. And besides, to my knowledge, the California DOJ website doesn't even give you the ability to register, even if you wanted to. So for right now, I highly recommend being in compliance, and don't do anything stupid. Pick your battles wisely when it comes to these legal issues, and you should have no problems.